Welcome back to my channel, the Value Creation Playbook. Today in episode 27, I cover board and governance uplift, essentially understanding how governance can be a value driver for your organization. Governance is often misunderstood as a compliance burden, but in reality, it's a strategic flywheel. When designed intentionally, governance uplifts decision making, accelerates execution, and builds stakeholder trust. That is why I call governance our value driver. In this episode, we unpack three pillars, and just like all the episodes, I restrict myself to only three key topics. In today's episode, we talk of board composition as a strategic lever. Secondly, we talk of governance for performance, not just a compliance checkbox. And thirdly, owner management alignment as the glue that binds execute. These levers are especially critical for PE-backed firms, scaling startups and founder-led businesses transitioning into institutional maturity. Firms like Tata Sons, Blackstone and Vista Equity treat governance as a value creation tool, embedding it into investment theses and operating model. So whether you are a founder preparing for an exit, a transformation advisor, or a VC structuring post-deal oversight, governance is your multiplier. Governance, treat it as a strategic asset, not as a ceremonial formality. Governance, when elevated beyond compliance, become a strategic asset that compounds value. It influences capital allocation, risk management, leadership transitions, and stakeholder confidence. High performance boards don't just approve budgets, they shape strategy, challenge assumptions, and monitor execution. Consider Blackstone's portfolio governance model. Their operating partners sit on boards, drive transformation, and ensure alignment with investment theses. Governance also impacts valuations. McKinsey research shows companies with strong governance outperform peers on ROIC and market multiples. In scaling firms, governance helps institutionalize decision making, especially when founders transition out of day-to-day control. In PE-backed firms, governance accelerates the 100-day plan and ensures accountability. The takeaway? Governance is not a checkbox. It's a strategic lever that drives performance, resilience, and trust. Let's spend a couple of minutes talking about the board composition. Board composition often reflect the strategic priorities, not just titles or tenures. A tech scale up needs digital and product expertise. Our turnaround requires restructuring and operational depth. Always remember the board is not a ceremonial body. It's a strategic brain behind trust. Infosys, during its transformation phase, added independent directors with global delivery and digital experience to guide it pivot. Similarly, Zoom added cybersecurity and regulatory expertise post their IPO to address emerging risk. A well-composed board balances industry depth, functional expertise, and strategic foresight. Use a skill matrix to map gaps across finance, ops, tech, and market landscape. Avoid over-indexing on legacy relationships. Instead, ask tough questions and bring execution experience. Diversity also matters, not just gender and geography, but cognitive diversity. Boards with varied perspective outperform on innovation and risk management. Now let's talk of skill matrix, which I just touched upon in my previous slide. A skill matrix is a practical tool to assess board composition against strategic needs. It maps current capabilities across dimensions like finance, operations, technology, governance, and market access. This helps identify gaps and prioritize new appointments. For example, a SaaS firm scaling globally may need board members with cross-border go-to-market experience and regulatory insight. Zoom's post-IPO refresh added cybersecurity and compliance expert to address stakeholder concerns. The matrix should be dynamic, updated annually to reflect evolving strategy. Include columns for functional expertise, industry experience, transformation exposure, and governance maturity. Score each member and visualize gaps. This prevents over-reliance on legacy relationships and ensures strategic alignment. Use the matrix during board refresh cycles, succession planning. A well-structured skill matrix turns board composition from intuition to strategy, from ceremonial to catalytic. And when you're talking of skills, and as I was telling you earlier, diversity, both from a gender, geography, even from a cognitive capability, is a fantastic value add to your organization. Diverse boards outperform on innovation, risk management, and stakeholder trust. Diversity spans gender, geography, age, industry, and cognitive style. NASDAQ's board diversity disclosure rule had pushed firm to rethink composition. McKinsey research shows that gender diverse boards deliver higher ROE and EBITDA margins. Consider Salesforce. Its board include leaders from tech, academia, and public policy, enabling multi-dimensional oversight. Diversity at the end of the day also improves decision-making quality. Different perspectives challenge groupthink and enrich debate. For founder-led firms, adding independent directors with diverse backgrounds help institutionalize governance. For PE-backed firms, diversity signals maturity and stakeholder alignment. Don't treat diversity as a checkbox. Embed it into board refresh cycles, succession planning, and skill matrix design. Use external advisors to source diverse candidates beyond traditional networks. The goal: build a board that reflects your market, challenges your strategy, and uplifts execution. Now, this brings me to an interesting topic: the board refresh cycles. Because boards at the end of the day must evolve with strategy. Stagnant boards breed groupthink, entrenchment, and strategic drift. Implement staggered refresh cycles, rotate members every 3 to 5 years based on skill metrics and strategic needs. Unilever refreshes its board regularly to maintain agility and market relevance. Refresh cycles prevent legacy bias and ensure fresh perspectives. Use term limits, performance reviews, and succession planning to guide transitions. For scaling firms, refresh cycles help institutionalize governance as founders step back. For PE firms, they align board composition with exit timelines and transformation goals. Refresh doesn't mean disruption. It means evolution. Pair outgoing directors with incoming ones for knowledge transfer. The board at the end of the day should be a living organism, evolving with strategy, market, and leadership. Refresh cycles ensure governance remains catalytic, not ceremonial. So let's talk about governance for performance, because governance must evolve from being a compliance ritual to a performance enabler. Traditional boards often focus on audits, risk registers, and regulatory filings, but high-performing boards go further. They challenge strategy, track execution, and align incentives. Netflix's board, for example, reviews strategic bets quarterly, not just annual financials. They assess content ROI, subscriber growth, and market expansion. Governance for performance means embedding execution metrics on board oversight. It also means empowering committees to go beyond ceremonial rules. Boards should ask, are we tracking the right KPIs? Are incentives aligned to outcomes? Are we challenging assumptions or rubber stamping decisions? In PE-backed firms, governance drives the 100-day plan, transformation roadmap, and exit strategy. In founder-led firms, it institutionalizes decision-making and prepares for scale. The shift from massive oversight to active enablement. Governance should be a strategic cockpit, not a rear view mirror. Now let's talk of KPI linked governance dashboards. Boards need dashboards that link governance to execution. These dashboards should track strategy, critical KPIs such as revenue growth, churn, NPS, talent metric, cash burn, and customer acquisition cost. Salesforce's governance dashboard aligns board oversights with OKRs, enabling real-time tracking of strategic initiatives. Dashboards should be visual, dynamic, and tied to board cycles. For PE-backed firms, dashboards help monitor transformation progress and validate investment theses. For scaling startups, they institutionalize performance tracking and prepare for fundraising or IPO. Governance dashboards also improve transparency. Board members can ask better questions, challenge assumptions, and support management. The goal? Turn governance into a performance cockpit, not a compliance checklist. Governance committees. The way I see this, I have put in two key points, two key committees here. Committees are where governance becomes actionable. Audit, risk, strategy, and compensation committees should be empowered, not ceremonial. JP Morgan's risk committee flagged early signals during the 2008 crisis, enabling proactive response. Strategy committee also reviews market shifts, competitive threats, and innovation bets. Compensation committees should align pay with performance and culture. Audit committee should go beyond financials, reviewing controls, fraud risk, and ESG metrics. In PE-backed firms, committees drive transformation execution. In scaling firms, they institutionalize governance maturity, use charters to define scope, cadence, and decision rights, rotate committee chairs to avoid entrenchment, include external advisors for specialized input. The takeaway? Committee are not side rooms, they are execution engines. Treat them as strategic platforms, not just governance formalities. Now, this brings me to an interesting topic. How do we bake in the governance into the PE playbook? Private firms often lack formal governance, but PE investors bring structure. Vista Equity Partners, for example, installs a governance framework within 100 days of acquisition. This includes board formation, committee setup, KPI dashboards, and operating partner integration. Governance drives transformation, accountability, and exit readiness. In founder-led firms, PE governance helps institutionalize decision-making and prepare for scale. In family-owned businesses, it prevents shadow authority and succession ambiguity. Governance also improves investor confidence, clear oversight, aligned incentives, and transparent reporting. Use governance to track transformation milestones, validate investment theses, and manage risk. Include independent directors, operating partners, and functional experts. The playbook governance is not optional. It is a foundational requirement. It drives execution, uplifts valuation, and prepares for liquidity events. The owner management alignment is absolute critical success factor wherever you want to establish a meaningful governance framework. Misalignment between owners and management erodes trust, slows execution, and creates strategic drift. Governance bridges this gap. Lenskart's governance structure balances founder vision with investor oversight using board committees, reporting cadence, and shared KPIs. Use governance to redefine escalation paths, strategic priorities, and performance metrics. In PE-backed firms, alignment is critical. Investors need execution, founders need autonomy. In family firms, governance prevents legacy bias and succession confusion. Include joint planning sessions, share dashboards, and incentivize harmonization. Governance, the way I see this, is the glue that binds strategy to execution. But at the end of the day, it's important to have role clarity. Shadow authority, whether founders, investors, or legacy leaders, influence decisions without formal roles, creates confusion and risk. Governance solves this through role clarity. Flipkart's governance evolved post Walmart's acquisition to clarify decision rights, reporting lines, and board oversight. Role clarity means defining who decides, who advises, and who executes. Use RACI framework to map responsibilities across boards, CEO, and leadership teams. Include governance charters, decision matrices, and escalation protocols. Role clarity improves execution velocity, reduces conflict, and builds trust. In scaling firms, it helps transition from founder-led to institutional. In PE-backed firms, it aligns operating rhythm with investor expectation. Governance should clarify, not complicate. Avoid shadow authority by embedding structure, transparency, and accountability. Let's now talk about how linking governance to value actually helps long-term strategy. The way I see this, incentives drive behavior. Governance must align incentives across equity, performance, and tenure. Zoho avoids external funding but uses long-term ESOPs to align leadership with company vision. PE-backed firms use equity rollovers, performance bonuses, and vesting schedules to drive execution. Incentive alignment means linking pay to strategy. Align board incentives with shareholder outcomes, exit value, transformation milestones, and governance maturity. Incentives should be transparent, fair, and strategic. Governance is the platform to harmonize incentives across stakeholders. The goal, drive behavior that uplifts value, not just rewards tenure. Scaling firms often feel governance chaos, unclear roles, informal decisions, and founder dependency. Governance brings clarity. Freshworks formalized governance pre-IPO, adding audit and compensation committees, independent directors, and reporting cadence. Scaling requires institutional decision-making, investor confidence, and execution discipline. Governance helps transition from founder-led to board-led. Use governance to define strategy cadence, performance tracking, and leadership accountability. For startups preparing for fundraising, governance signals maturity. For firms entering new market, it ensures compliance and risk management. Governance is a bridge from chaos to clarity, from hustle to scale. Embedded early, it compounds value. Now that you are at the end of this session, let's wrap this up. Remember, governance is not a checkbox, it's a flywheel. When designed intentionally, it uplifts strategy, execution, and trust. Use this framework. Strategic board composition, curate for expertise, diversity, and challenge. Second, performance-oriented oversight. Embed dashboards, committees, and execution matrix. Lastly, owner management alignment. Always remember to clarify roles, harmonize incentives, and build trust. Governance compounds over time, improves decision-making quality, also improves the investor confidence and helps in leadership transition. Treat governance as a strategic asset. Whether you are scaling, transforming, or preparing for exit, governance is your multiplier. Use it to drive value creation. Thanks for being a part of this journey. Thanks for watching. As I always tell you, in case this topic resonated with you, please do like, subscribe, spread the message, share this video with somebody in your network who might be struggling with establishing a proper governance framework. There's more to come. In the meantime, if you want to connect, feel free to connect with me in LinkedIn or drop me an email. Until next time, take care, stay safe, and we speak soon. Bye for now.